So we're here with, well, let's have you state your name.
John Ludwig.
John Ludwig. And what is your rating, John?
2298.
2298. And you've been playing chess for how long?
6 years.
6 years. And how'd you get started?
My mom taught me how to play chess.
Your mom taught you? Okay. And how soon after that were you pretty much hooked?
I think when 4 or 5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago? Okay. And how old are you now?
Today's my 14th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, man. I didn't know that. Okay, cool. So so you started around 8 years old then. Cool, nice. And your older brother is an international master, correct? And he doesn't play anymore, right? But when he was playing, were you fascinated by the game by watching him play, or was it something you weren't into when he was playing, but sort of, you know, after he did his thing, shortly after that, I guess you decided to take it up, or?
Well, he stopped playing chess last year, so I mean, he taught me how to play chess when I was like 6, but I wasn't interested. So
I see. And do you feel like normally in situations where one sibling is pretty successful at something, and the other sibling is also you know, very interested in that thing, and both of you let's say play the same sport, there's a lot of added pressure. You know what I mean? A lot of, you know, the sibling rivalry thing. You know, wanting to be at least as good as your brother. You know what I mean? Do you think that do you ever feel any pressure like that? Yeah. Okay. And how do you deal with that?
I kind of try to forget I'm playing my brother, but it doesn't really work.
Yeah. Oh boy. But I mean, you gotta admit you're getting pretty close to his strength, right?
Sort of.
Yeah. He still beats you pretty bad, or?
No, he's not playing anymore.
Oh, okay. So you haven't played him recently, right? I see. And so, what exactly do you like about chess? I mean, what's the, you know, the main attraction?
Well, just how deep it is and how many possible variations there are.
I see. So you like the complexity of it. And is that sort of your mantra, like even academically? I mean, you like subjects that are more complicated. Okay, so I'm sure you're a fan of math and that sort of stuff. I mean, what's your favorite subject?
History.
History. Okay, a history buff. Okay, so you like watching documentaries and stuff, right? And of course.
I don't watch that.
No, okay, that's the boring part of history. But okay, and what are your goals in chess? I mean, how far do you want to take it? I mean, how far do you want to, you know, take your game?
Well, I want to become world champion, but I don't know.
World champion. Well, that's pretty ambitious, but I mean, anything is possible as long as you work hard enough. You mentioned earlier that you don't use a coach, right? You just sort of do your own thing. I mean, how do you study? I mean, there's so many books written on chess. There's so much information. How do you sort of gauge or funnel, you know, certain material into being able to narrow it down and to use what you believe is more effective for you in terms of developing your chess?
Well, I use ChessBase sometimes, and I will, if I come up with a novelty, then I will look at it with a computer, and I also look at opening books. That's all I do.
I see. And I mean, how how many hours would you say per day or week or whatever it is that you actually put into chess study?
Well, I'll play chess on ICC, but probably, I don't know, 3 hours a week at most.
3 hours a week at most. That's pretty low. I mean, surprisingly, for someone so strong, you know what I mean? I imagine you have to be extremely talented to be able to do that. I mean, with such little time and all on your own. I mean, it's very impressive. And do you is there one player or maybe a few players that you look up to as far as your style or the way you perceive the game per se?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know.
Not sure. Well, there must be someone that you like their style, or I'm sure it's not Magnus, because that's going to be your rival for the World Championship. So I don't think necessarily you'd want to look up to him as someone you want to play like, right? Well, you have a very interesting style. I mean, how would you describe your style of play?
Well, I like positional chess more than tactical play, and if I get a worse position where my opponent has the initiative, I'll typically sacrifice material, and try to get the initiative, or just complicate the game.
Right.
And I'll typically just try to slowly improve my position and not.
I see.
Tactics.
I see. And I mean, like in the positional side of chess, I imagine that there. Have you read any chess books at all?
A few.
And I imagine that those were more positional books, something like My System or something of that nature. Correct. Is there any one book that you found to be above the rest?
Well, I read this Endgame book. At least I'm not done reading it. Just through the examples. It's this Endgame book by Shirashevsky. I forget what it's called, but it's a really good book.
And what opening books do you have a favorite author or someone that typically is pretty good at writing opening books? Or?
Well, I like Nick DeFormian's when he wrote the Modern Chess Openings book. I thought he did a very good job. It's updated, and it's very helpful with all the openings. Correct. So, I mean, you mentioned the fact that it's updated. So, is that a key component for you in terms of chess material whenever you do study? Yeah, I mean, if I struggle with a variation, I'll either look at that book or ChessBase.
Correct. Okay, I see. Because I know that there are some players, they like to play older lines, lines that are kind of out of style or out of fashion, so that people, their opponents probably either don't know or have forgotten those lines. And I guess that's not you. You try to keep up with the more modern theory. Okay. And what about endgame play? I mean, do you spend a lot of time on endgame studies, or?
I don't.
No, just mainly openings and positional stuff. I see. And what advice would you give to other kids that are aspiring chess players in terms of how to stay focused and how to improve their game without without getting distracted with all the other things that comes along with being a kid. I mean, I'm sure that there are times when your friends or something would like to play video games or do something more what they considered more typically fun for kids. You know what I mean? I mean, how do you maintain that focus and not get caught up in that?
Well, I mean, for me, I just think chess is so interesting that I don't really think.
Right. It doesn't really entice you. Right. I see. And any advice as to how to improve? I mean, for people out there that we'll hear from John Gabriel on what's a good way of thinking, if you will, on how to get better.
Well, I think studying openings is very important because you don't want your opponent to outplay you in the opening.
Correct.
And you don't want to waste time in the opening. So I think studying openings is very important. Mm-hmm. And also think about what your opponent is doing. Don't just think about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Remember, Karpov said you have to think about what your opponent's doing more than what you're thinking.
More than what you're doing. Correct.
So.
Very nice. And you mentioned the openings quite often, and the thing about Magnus Carlsen, they say, he doesn't study openings that much. Are you a believer in that? Do you actually believe that about him? No.
I don't think so.
Me either. But they say that because he plays a lot of different openings that he doesn't spend a lot of time on opening preparation or something like that. But, like you said, me personally, I don't believe that either. But is there a favorite chess club of yours that you like playing at the most? I imagine you've been to quite a few different places to play chess.
There's not a chess club in Orlando that meets regularly.
I see.
I remember Marshall Chess Club is very fun. Mm-hmm. That's probably my favorite chess club.
Okay, the Marshall Chess Club in New York, correct?